I just want to say this. So if you're watching and you're loving it, you better follow me.
You're so phantom tax.
Hey guys, it's Kristine's back with another video. I'm going to be reacting to a Criminal Minds fanfic that I wrote when I was 14. It's been 3 years since I wrote this technically, but it's going to be 4 years soon, so I can't finish it, by the way. Hope you guys enjoy. It's called Reed's Crazy Sister. I'm going to read the description for you. Reed's sister, for most of her life, has always allowed her past to haunt and shape her future. But what happens when her past becomes too overwhelming for her to handle and starts to seep into, hello, I'm doing this on my computer and it's giving me a hard time, starts to seep into her present. Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning, abuse, violence, language. Prologue. Okay, I just wanted to say this is my first story, haha, but when you imagine the main character, which is Spencer Reed's older sister, I want you to imagine Blair pulled her from Gossip Girl, a television show. Spencer Reed is also an important part of the story as well, and I will try my best to write this and make it fun for you guys. Also, the story and the character is based off a TV show called Criminal Minds that aired from 2005 to 2020. It aired for 15 seasons. I'm taking inspiration from the show, but it's also my own story. I don't own any rights or ideas of the Criminal Minds TV show or universe. So let's go. Over the character list, we got Blair Waldorf as Samantha Reed. Foster name is Faye Evans, age 28. We have Taylor Russell, my girl, Serenity Peters, Faye's best friend, age 24. Then we have Spencer Reed, Faye's brother, age 23. But he's also gonna be Serenity's man. That I didn't write it yet, but if I continue the story, they were gonna get together, but I didn't. We have Courtney Cox as Cassie Bridger, Faye's best friend, age 27. Margot Robbie Paris, Faye's best friend, age 28. Mare Moore, Derek Morgan, EAUT member, age 31. And then other characters, Aaron Hotchner, Jennifer Giroux, Penelope Garcia, Emily Prentice, and David Rossi. Does Blair have the personality of my main character? But she definitely does. Like, I feel like my main character is definitely like a Blair. And the fact that Blair kind of gives like lawyer energy, you know what I mean? Like, she was always getting stuff done. I would go to Blair to get someone kicked out. I would go to Blair if you had a devious plan that you couldn't think of, but you knew Blair would be able to carry it out for you and get revenge on your behalf in a very psychological way, you know? And so that was my character that I wanted to portray. Chapter 1.
Faye had never been more excited to start a new job in her entire life.
When I tell you I have no writing chops, and I swear 4 years later, I'm 18 right now, I will still write the same way. That I cannot write to save the life. I have no sense of imagination. I just use filler words. I know when you read this, you're gonna be like, what grade? Are you sure you were a freshman? Sure you were a freshman when you wrote this book? Fanfic? Are you sure? Because it's given junior high. It's given loose. It was in a serene and peaceful city called Quantico, located in Virginia. This was her chance of a fresh start. Somewhere where she could develop herself and truly blossom into her full potential in her field. She had been in the FBI for years, but wanted to work alongside her brother, whom she missed dearly. She hadn't seen him since he was 8, although she'd seen pictures of him and knew he worked in Virginia from vigorously stalking him online. Good job, Faye! The problem was Faye had no form of contact with her brother since briefly once in college several years ago. She was now 28. One phone call with him in college was cut short due to a conflict that had prevented her from continuing to speak with him. Faye had never got the chance to have a real conversation with him during that time. She was pretty smart and accomplished for a young woman of her age, much similar to her brother in that regard. Faye went to Howard and graduated a straight A student and valedictorian with an IQ of 197. Faye dressed up in her black suit and gray pants, then put on her black slip-ons to finish the outfit off, which brought out her confidence. She had wanted to make a good impression with her new colleagues, and her new complimentary outfit was guaranteed to make her feel and look as she wanted to appear, professional and reliable. Faye didn't initially know what else she could do to amplify her outfit, but eventually ended up bringing a small purse with leathery pattern and her phone that could perfectly fit inside. As she walked out of the car, she took in the view of the outside building she would be working in for many years in the future. The FBI headquarters was tall with multiple windows all around the exterior and had this grand appearance about it. She walked through the large doors of the FBI building and waited for the elevator to open. As the elevator opened, she pushed the button, eventually named BAU short for Behavior Analysis Unit 7th floor, so she could arrive on the floor where she would be working. Here's the je ne sais quoi. Literally falling asleep. No imagination, there's no flavor. Faye had finally arrived at the BAU and stepped outside the elevator. Suddenly, she was greeted by a broad-shouldered man with dark black hair. She had remembered during an earlier interview with him when they talked about why she was qualified for the position. His facial expressions were very serious
and stern, almost intimidating, but attractive. Quite attractive, in fact, so attractive her mind went to places she knew she shouldn't think of.
She snapped out of it quickly, remembering he's her boss. Yes. Hello. Faye reached out her hand to greet him. Her direct eye contact indicated her seriousness and professionalism, but she quickly glanced down and bit her lip. She snaps out of it and looks him in the eye. She's also overwhelmingly nervous. She makes a vow she won't get involved or look at her boss endearingly. Seeing the golden ring on his left finger, she no longer finds him attractive. She won't allow herself to. Yeah, because he's married. Hello, Agent Evans. I'm Erin Hodgson, and I'd love for you to meet the rest of the team. You can call me Hodge. He gestured for me to go towards the small conference area with a round table and chairs surrounding it. These are Agents Derek Morgan, Jennifer Giroux, but you can call her JJ. He pauses for a brief minute. Emily Prentice and David Rossi. There's another agent running a bit late, but his name is Spencer Reed, Hodge explained. Faye's eyebrows quivered with curiosity. She had been wanting to see her younger brother for years, and now she was going to be able to see him. It all felt surreal. And this is our newest member, Faye Evans. This is our newest member. Just as Hodge said that, an interesting girl appeared from another room. Her outfit was filled with color, and there was a vibrant presence about her that made me smile. Hey, I'm Penelope Garcia, the technical analyst. Nice to meet you. Garcia smiled, pulling Faye into an instant hug. Faye kind of pulled away, startled, but secretly loved the hug with Garcia and felt weirdly comfortable and at peace. And if you're wondering, I'm basically your girl behind the scenes, like taking down serial killers from the safety of my computer. She winked at me and smiled. I grinned at her weird phrasing. Hello, everyone. Faye found herself at a seat decisively, praying that Spencer would react excitingly to seeing her on the team and sit next to her. Spencer arrived with coffee in his hand and a few books in the other. At first, he hadn't really noticed Faye, but when he looked up, he'd been so flabbergasted that he ended up dropping his piping hot coffee. As she rushed over, grabbing napkins to help him, he snatched them, not making eye contact with her at all, but staring daggers in the back of her eyes as he quickly cleaned up the mess on the floor. Hello, I'm Faye Evans. She hesitates for a moment. And you? You mean Sam? Reed muttered quickly under his breath. He elevates his voice. I'm Spencer Reed. Well, I'm glad to meet you. Faye put her hand down, walking towards the chairs to sit. Later on, Spencer sat down as far away from Faye as he could. Every few minutes, he narrowed his eyes towards her, then looked away quickly. Everyone started to stare, first at Faye, then at Spencer. No one uttered a word. Only awkward silence ensued for a few minutes. Hodge broke the silence, fortunately, by introducing the case. Well, let's get started with this new case. We have two females with petite builds and brunette hair stabbed below the stomach and left exposed. Directly below their fingertips, there's a message laid on the pavement of the road they were found on, saying, "Let's play a game, Flower." The thought bugged her, but why? Why did that phrase seem familiar to Faye? Flower, let's play a game. This game is going to be fun. Faye always remembered to be quiet. Mark Evans was her foster dad and had been for a little over a year now, after he had adopted her. Mark had no spouses and no other children, at least yet. Faye wasn't allowed to have any friends. Her dad was very controlling and made sure she knew it. She was forced to watch things no child her age should have to. Faye knew Mark was crazy, but she was too scared to take any action towards him. Faye, I'm going to show you something special. It's part of the game. Let's go to my cabin. Mark gestured for her to come over. As Faye walked over, she could hear screaming and crying for help, so she started to feel terrified to see what was in there. When he opened the door, Faye couldn't help but cringe in terror. There was a woman, a girl who was a couple years older than her, probably in her 20s, tied to a chair, stabbed in multiple areas. She had scars on her hands and baggy eyes as if she hadn't slept in weeks. Her face was very dirty, and her hair was messy. Her eyes were puffy and red as if she'd been crying for a while. What is going on? First of all, if I hear someone screaming in a cabin, I'm kind of... Where's her phone? Where's her phone at? Like, she didn't have a phone? I didn't write that in the story? Like, you're telling me she's 14, she doesn't have a phone? Okay. Well, I have to think, though. This was probably in the 2000s, so I guess it kind of makes sense. I would call the landline. I'd be like, oh... Yeah, I don't know what I would do. Flower, this is the game. I want you to watch what I do to her. This is something I will pass on to you. It will be fun. Trust me, sweetie. Mark insisted. First of all, I'm confused because... Huh? What are the chances a serial killer adopts someone in foster care? Plotline kind of ate, though. Come on, I kind of ate. Because you weren't expecting that, weren't y'all? Y'all weren't expecting it. You're an Evans. You've been one for a little over a year. Something to note about us, Evans. We enjoy inflicting pain on others, so I know you'll grow to like this.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
It was at that moment I knew. I should be prepared for what I'm doing already. I made you watch all those videos on people. You watched them, right? His eyes deepened as he said those words to me. That's why I had to stop watching Criminal Minds. If you're not aware, I watched 8 seasons of Criminal Minds and I was like, I can't, because this is messing me up as a person, because look at the material I'm writing, bro. Like, this is scary. This is scary. Like, this is, I don't even know how how is this Faye character a functioning adult? Like, how did she make it to the FBI with this? Like, okay. I could feel his eyes burn through my chest. I caved in. You're right, Dad. I'm in Evans. In the inside, I was screaming for help. I had never watched any of the videos, except once when I was forced to. The worst part for me was having to hear the awful sounds that were coming from that dreadful video. Every Monday, I was too paranoid to have the video not playing at all in fear of him realizing that I was playing the videos but not directly watching them. Oh shoot. Mark called them movie Mondays. He would lock me in my room all day and slip in food from time to time and basically put on different films for me to watch. It's actually insane. That's actually insane. I'm hiring writers. Can someone finish the story for me? Because I actually want to know the ending. The first time it happened was 2 months ago after I'd been adopted. I was capable of acting like a normal dad for 2 whole fucking months. Wish that facade had lasted longer. I thought the videos were as bad as it could get with him. When it first happened, I kicked and screamed and refused to watch them, but then he just beat me until I'd pass out from the pain, and he'd pour water over my head and make me watch them by staying in my room all day. So I had no choice the first time. I watched someone step by step at 13. It changed my whole outlook on life. I miss my mother and Spence. Not Spencer! From that point on, I pretended to watch them by playing the videos all day and only watching them when he'd come by to slip me food. Oh, she's a smart cookie. There was one time in the beginning I couldn't take anymore, so I started defying him instead of agreeing. I knew it hurt too. He'd make me suffer, but I felt empowered through the pain. Please, Dad, I won't watch this. She got him, Dad! I already watched the videos. Please, this is insane. You need... Faye yells at Mark. Am I using the right pretense? Like, I still don't know the pretenses. I need to read some books. Before Faye can finish, Mark punches Faye in the face, threatening to beat her if she doesn't watch him carefully. Faye wasn't surprised. She felt nothing, and it had always been something he'd done to her before when he was angered. He'd rather keep her silent, so she only ever listened to him and never talked back. Faye thought to herself, at least I know why I can't have any friends. Mark is sick. a despicable animal, not even worth of being called a human being. I need to help this girl or get out of here before me too. Faye snapped out of her head and flinched when Emily taps her shoulder. Are you okay, Faye? You look lost in thought. Yeah, I just don't like being touched. I'm a huge germaphobe. Of course, I get it. Looks like Pretty Boy and New Girl have something in common. Morgan jumps in. I smile at Spencer as he looks away again, glaring at Morgan coldly for the comment. Let's discuss more on our jet. Get your bags and let's head out. Wheels in 30. Hotch demands. We have a private jet? Yeah, don't get so excited, Faye. Spencer rolls his eyes. Sorry if I upset you, Dr. Spencer Reed. Faye sticks her tongue out at him. Like, it's like sibling banter, like sibling core, y'all. Sibling core. Spencer just rolls her eyes at Faye in response. So this is chapter 3. These flowers are Paula Faye's. Wink wink. As we get on the jet, Faye decided to sit next to Morgan, even though she wanted to sit next to Spencer. He had made it clear he didn't want anyone sitting near him with his books and bags scattered all over. Okay, let's get more into the case. So we know that Unsub leaves their victims exposed and they are all petite with brunette hair. Strangely, they look all to be about 20 or in their mid-20s, but why? It's a substitute for the real person who the Unsub wants to take their anger out on. Faye knew the answer but didn't say anything. Faye could speak about the information she knew, but felt responsible, so she decided to take matters into her own hands. She knew it was Mark again, that this was some sick game he was playing with her. She remembered back to the victim he had in his cabin, the first victim he ever showed her. She was brunette. Crap. The Unsub's a sadist. They get off on stabbing them, making them feel vulnerable, helpless. Spencer answers, yes, Spence. But wait, something bothers me though. The note that was left behind, who was it directed towards? Could there be an individual they want to impress? Morgan adds on. One more thing. The Unsub definitely is indicating he's a male. The way he leaves his victims exposed, wanting to show his dominance over them. This is definitely a classic case of trying to show his extreme masculinity. Replies, still, we need more indication before we can profile the Unsub as a male. This is good work, guys. Hodge smiles slightly at Faye. Hodge, why are you smiling at me? Like, why are you smiling at me? Stop it. Stop it. Let's talk about the Unsub's profile after we gather information from the crime scene and location it happened. Let's see how our Unsub thinks. The jet lands in Irvine, California. The BAU team gets off the plane. Hodge reviews the plans and what people will be on which teams for certain tasks. Reed and Evans, I want you to go to the crime scene. Rossi, JJ, you'll come to me to go to the precinct to introduce and make our statements following the case. Prentice and Morgan, you go to the morgue to see what they can tell you about the victim. Decide to drive the car, and there is an awkward silence as both Faye and Spencer enter opposite sides of the vehicle. It doesn't last long. Spencer, listen, I know you have questions, but I'm so sorry for everything that went down between us as kids. Who said I wanted to talk to you? Listen, we work together. Let's just stick to being co-workers and figure that out. But you're my brother. Oh, and don't tell anyone we're related. I love where I work, and I don't want any conflict to occur if they find out. I don't want to have to explain the relationship we have, the choice you tried to force on me. His voice gets colder. Oh, and you stopped being my sister the day after that phone call giving me hope. You bailed, never reaching out again. Why are you even in my life again? You had to have known I was working here. What gave you the right? Oh, I know you hate me, but I'll never stop loving and protecting you, Spence, and you'll always be my family. Faye shivers as she feels a tear start to come down her cheek. She quickly wipes it off and composes herself. They arrive at the crime scene. They tell us all the details, and Faye sees personally everything that Mark did to the poor girl. Spencer leaves Faye alone for a second, and she spots another note under her rough, lifeless hands. It says, come to our spot to stop this.
Don't do it, Faye. Don't do it. Don't do it, Faye.
There's also another note that Mark deliberately left for the rest of the BAU team. If you're wondering, I'm a male, and you're too late. I already left the state. Catch me if you can, flower. Those are fighting words, by the way. I hand the note about him leaving to Spencer and start to walk away. How are they not making the connection that Faye is a flower? He's saying, catch me if you can, flower, and she just joined the team. Like, it's all, come on, team. Like, what do we do? How is Spencer not even making the connection? He has a IQ of like 300. Then suddenly, something in me clicks. I can catch this son of a bleep. I can catch Mark, I think to myself. I suddenly run to the car and start the engine so I can start driving. Reed comes near the car from out of nowhere. Where are you going? You need to give this note to Hotch. It could be crucial to solving this case. He enters the car. Get out. Listen, it doesn't matter. There's just something I need to do. Sam, I'm not getting out. We can go together. It's a smarter decision.
Don't call me Sam.
And before he could reply, I pushed him out of the car and locked the door. I'm sorry, Spencer. You don't need to be involved in my problems. I'm alone in this. She looked up different florists and put a GPS to take her to one of them, near where she was located. As she drove, she saw a small cabin similar to the one Mark had shown her in all those years ago, and knew it was just one of his locations around the country. As she entered, she was terrified to see the cabin was filled with hundreds of pictures of Spencer Reed and even articles of his achievements. She knew he was taunting her, that he could take everyone she loved away from her. She just sat there for what felt like hours and cried. She couldn't control herself anymore. She knew Mark was already gone and in hiding to another state, and that she was too late to catch him again. She knew she was a failure. She drove back to where she pushed Spencer out of the car. He's still there. Hey, Spencer, she rolled down her window. Are you crazy? Why would you do that? And where did you go? Oh, relax. I was only gone for like 30 minutes. It doesn't matter. I don't need to tell you anything. Just like you aren't going to tell anyone what I just did, unless you want them to know we're related. Oh, she's blackmailing him. Faye starts to grin to herself like she's already won the conversation. Fine, but you're crazy, Sam. Reed smirks. Just get in the car, and it's Faye. We drive to the precinct where everyone is supposed to meet. Eventually, we gather information, and after a few days of there being no activity, we conclude the unsub stopped killing again. Faye starts to frown knowing the news, but still hoping there'd be something to catch him. Hey, new girl, don't worry. I'm sure we'll nail this guy someday. Morgan reassured her by putting his hand on her shoulder. As Faye was about to tell him to take his shoulder off of her, she started to feel butterflies in her stomach. Maybe it wasn't so bad having his hand on my shoulder after all. He felt warm, and her cheeks started to show a natural shade of pink too. Little crushy crush. Okay, so that's the end of me like reading my fanfic. I like the story a lot, but let me know what you guys think. I want to finish this story, so I think I'm going to do multiple parts of this. It's a little crazy. I like her though. I like her spunk. I understand the justifications of why she's doing what she's doing, but I do think also dad messed with her morals, decision making. So even though she's a very intellectual girl, the abuse that she suffered from her foster dad and everything that she went through in her foster home makes her isolate herself. And I'm just telling y'all this because like I'm rooting for her, but she's obviously has some issues, and that's because of her stepdad, and I don't blame her. I don't blame her. Like, come on, y'all. She went through some stuff, so it's a very interesting story. So I'm gonna do the rest of the chapters in a later video. Bye. Hope you enjoyed.
All right, everybody.